Mr. Gingrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As one of the newest members of the committee, I've tried to hold an optimistic view of the important business we have undertaken and progress that we could achieve in a bipartisan way on behalf of the American people. However, for their sake and the sake of Georgia's 11th Congressional District, I also feel a strong sense of duty and obligation to take this opportunity to speak out on what I believe may be one of the greatest mistakes this Congress will ever make. Our nation stands at a crossroads, Mr. Chairman. While the road behind us is paved with mistakes made by both Republicans and Democrats, this current Congress is not immune from choosing a significant worse path, or preferably a better one. By now, I think we all realize that America does not exist in a protective bubble. International trade, inexpensive travel, and fiber optic technology have made the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans infinitely smaller. In the 21st century, American success and economic vitality depend on our nation's ability to compete and win in the international marketplace. Over 95% of the world's consumers live outside the United States, with over 1/3 of the world's population indeed living in China and India. Yet today this committee seems poised to pass legislation that, despite the best of intentions, will saddle American people and American businesses with more regulations and more cost, essentially imposing a tax increase on every person living in this country. Mr. Chairman, this legislation manufactures a cost of business that otherwise does not exist. Regardless of any of these formulas or allocations to shift these additional costs around, someone in this country is going to pay. And ultimately, it will be all of us, because this plan will hurt the entire economy. There's little doubt in my mind that this legislation will shut down businesses and eliminate blue and white collar jobs. While I know the majority has prided its plan on the creation of green jobs, Mr. Chairman, I have listened to some of our counterparts in Europe discuss their experience with these green jobs. It seems to me that green jobs, just like leaves on a tree, they may shine in the summertime when everything is sunny, but when the fall comes, these leaves will fade, and by winter, they'll be long gone. Indeed, these green jobs might be best identified as subprime in comparison to solid traditional manufacturing jobs we've recently lost to other countries. In using the term subprime, I'm reminded of the economic and housing crisis which we are still grappling with, in large part the result, I believe, of excessive government involvement and manipulation of the free market lending system. If the federal government cannot effectively micromanage the lending system, how does it intend to effectively manage a convoluted, complex cap-and-trade scheme? So I just caution every member to reflect on what we're doing here and ask yourself this question: do I want to be responsible for tying this country's hands behind its back at a time not just when terrorists are trying to destroy us, but when rising economic powers are seeking to displace American economic and political influence around the world? Mr. Chairman, I know the President has turned hope into a policy platform. While hope has the power to inspire, it makes for a lousy parachute when you're about to jump off an economic cliff. And I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Gingrey.